Hi there. I'm Smita Murthy, managing partner at Open Cliff Partners. We're a product advisory and consulting firm. As a woman who spent over 25 years in tech product and leadership roles in corporate, I have crossed paths with inspiring women who walk the talk, have an abundance mindset, and have helped shape my career journey. My hope is through my actions while in corporate roles and now in this chapter of my professional life that I give back and pay it forward. There's plenty of research that shows that women don't have enough women role models to look up to learn from, and to emulate. And very few women leaders who break the glass ceiling, be it in corporate, entrepreneurial, or other areas, actually support other women in terms of being a champion, being a sponsor, or an advocate to other women, and worse, see them as competition. The inspiration for this podcast series is to showcase women in tech, product, and leadership who inspire, who actually help, and are positive influences to those who have the good fortune to be in their orbits, lifting as they climb. Today, I'm super excited to host Heidi West. Heidi has over 30 years experience in health IT with companies like Cisco, Nutanix, and Zoom. She's an empath leader who is customer obsessed. She's also a wife and mom and calls that the best gig ever. And I couldn't agree more with you, Heidi. I am so excited to host you here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to the conversation today.
Yes, absolutely. I was itching to have this conversation, and I'm so glad we could find the time to record. So, why don't we get right into it?
Great.
So, my first question for you is, we all have role models and people we look up to who inspire and shape our journeys. Tell me about a role model that has inspired you in your career journey and why.
I thought a lot about this, and I think a lot about this, and I always come back to my mom. I know it's such a cliche answer. There are women leaders out there that I think have done amazing things, but I think about my mom because she did work when I was young, and I don't have a single memory of her not being there when I needed her. So I learned early on that you can work and still be a good mom. So that was sort of the first lesson. And then as I got older, I realized she was unapologetically authentic. And I don't say that to mean she was like a bad person and didn't care. She was a wonderful person, and people were drawn to her because she put no airs on. She was just who she was.
Yep.
And I was really, when you're growing up and you're not sure how you feel about yourself, to see somebody who just was who they were, and there was no different mom at home than out. It really did spark a thing that I remembered. And then as I went into my professional career, um, some of those, just who she was, how she held herself, stayed with me. But also, she's a cancer survivor, and 38 years cancer survivor,
Wow.
and yeah, she's a machine. But I found my passion for healthcare, and I found my passion for how can you make a difference in this space in any little area. And she really became my why of what drove me within the space. So
Oh,
throughout my life, she's done it in different ways.
that's fantastic. And, I have two comments to add to that. One, yay, mom. Love it. Love the story. Second, I do think our early childhood kind of crafts who we are. And I honestly didn't recognize that until I was at one of these leadership offsites
Same.
at one point where they said, okay, dig deep and what has shaped your leadership style. And you start to realize, and you're like, oh my God, my mom. Oh my God, my grandmom.
Yeah.
So and I've said this in some of the interviews I've done in the past where my grandmother on my dad's side, single mom, five kids,
Wow.
and my dad being the youngest. And she had no school. She didn't even graduate high school. no college degree, nothing, but she was wicked sharp with math.
Yeah,
She could do math faster than anybody around her.
love
And
that.
she managed her expenses, her money. There was some rental income. All the kids had college degrees. And she just set them up. I mean, like that kind of crafts how you think and who you are. So I
Yeah,
completely get it. As cliched as it is, we're all the lucky ones
that's
who
right.
have amazing moms and grandmoms possibly to look up to.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, no, of course. All right. So, and as a woman who's been in health IT for over 30 years, what are some leadership lessons you've learned from your experience that you'd like to share with our audience?
Yeah, it's funny because I just got done saying how much I appreciated my mom being unapologetically authentic. But when I went into leadership, there weren't many women, if any, to look toward for guidance on how to lead in a male, dominated industry. And all of the leaders around me were men. So I found myself, you hear the words that are so triggering for most women. You're too soft, you're emotional, you're too easy on your team. And I found myself trying to be tougher, harder, not myself in the way that I felt worked for me and the way I wanted to lead. And I had to take a step back and realize that this wasn't sustainable if I wasn't myself. And I got into, as I got more comfortable in the roles and the expectations, to not apologize for being my authentic self and leading the way I felt was appropriate. Didn't always work out for me, but I never felt the need to be somebody I wasn't, to fit a perceived picture of what good leadership looks like. And I'm proud of that, because you
Yeah,
do, when you haven't been a leader before, you're looking for the people around you to learn and leaders you've had. And I just didn't have a lot of options to figure out who I wanted to be.
yeah.
So I think not getting lost in who you are, feeling like you have to fit some kind of mold of what you see around you, was the biggest lesson I learned for sure.
That's awesome. So many things that resonated with me. Um, I'd shared in one of my previous podcasts that, unfortunately for me, early in my career, the one woman boss I had was not a great role model.
Yeah.
And but however, I think I learned something from that. I learned how I didn't want to be. And that's a lesson too. It's just like any failure is sort of a stepping stone to success. So you kind of learn and you start to, and this is not who I am. This is who I
Right.
am. And that's as important as trying to fit a mold. And I understand what you say, what you were saying about trying to fit that big picture or that image of what leadership looks like. I think part of that realization also comes with experience and
Yes.
age, honestly,
Yeah.
where I've found that to be true even in my personal life, where I don't need to please people anymore. I've progressively gotten less and less of a people pleaser.
Yeah.
I know who my real friends are, and that's who I care about. Um,
Yeah.
and I
I
think
had, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no. I think and I find that to be true in the professional arena
Yeah.
as well.
I had some wonderful male leaders in my career. So I don't want to make it sound like I just had a bunch of bravado running around. I had
Yes,
some
yes.
wonderful leaders,
Of
but
course.
trying to figure out my place in that took me some time for sure.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I understand that. All right. So, this is the most important question I have to ask. And that is, you have been a woman who's been in corporate for all these years, have had so much success. how do you use your success to help other women in their careers?
Yeah, I noticed at the beginning of this, you talked about it's not just about making yourself available, but true sponsorship, true mentorship. If there isn't a mentor program in an organization I work for, I will work with people to figure out how to create one and make myself available. If there is, I'm raising my hand saying I'll take more than one. And I like to mentor women who aren't necessarily doing the role that I'm doing. Most recently at Zoom, I was mentoring a young woman who was a product manager, and
Hmm.
I'm in sales, just two totally different roles.
Yeah.
But just learning from experiences and talking through some of the things she was going through and how I could relate, I thought was incredibly powerful. So I do mentor quite a bit. I do coach and I sponsor. One of the things that I've learned recently is, there are a lot of people out of work right now and trying to find jobs, and it's a really weird time. And if I have somebody approach me that says, I could use your help, it looks like you know this person. Um, I feel like a lot of times people may throw your resume over or send it to the recruiter, but that's it. And I feel like true sponsorship is following up and engaging and figuring out, here's what I know about this person. Here's how I think they will benefit, or you'll benefit from them being part of your organization. So big fan of sponsorship and just life lessons. I mentioned, or I have mentioned in the past, I sit on panels. I've done a couple panels for the Girl Scouts in the past where
Oh,
they're
fantastic.
talking about different roles and opportunities. I've done girls in IT. I've done I want to make myself available, and it's not look at me, look how great I am. It's like, it's more look at me and look at all the mistakes I've made and
Huh?
the challenges I've had, and helping people learn either from my mistakes and in some cases my successes. So I do put myself out there quite a bit and continue to want to do so.
Absolutely. And that's fantastic. And I think in our industry or in our corporate environment, personally, I've found there's tons of mentorship programs. Women, I think, get mentored the most. But you get to a certain point when, thank you, I'm mentored enough. What I really need is someone to recognize the potential I have and be that advocate, that ally, that sponsor.
It's so
That's
true.
how you lift others up. And, what you said about not just like passing along a resume saying this is someone I know, but saying, hey, you know what? This is what I know about the person. Follow up and really, really advocate for them. More power to you for having done that in your career. And I hope you continue to do that for the people that you know.
Well, and I've been out of work in my life, and I recognize when someone has truly sponsored me versus maybe, yeah, I'll see what I could do, and then I never hear from them again. So call it paying it forward
Yes.
for people that have sponsored me in the past. I also have a daughter who is now in business, and I would like to think, and I have seen amazing women take her under their wing to help her. So if you see it, acknowledge it and support it, and then bring it back to the things that you do. I, we need to start catching each other doing great things and calling people out for the wonderful work they do. That's
Yeah.
how I
No,
feel.
absolutely. That's just amazing. Um, Now, people who are givers, who are empath leaders like yourself, um, how do you support others while maintaining boundaries so you're not taken advantage of?
Yeah, I think I'm a big person in blocking calendars with colors and determining what each color means and holding them uh, to what they are. You know, you never shut down a customer meeting. Those are the first and foremost. And then you might have some internal meetings you can't get out of. But you do have free time on your calendar. And if mentorship or sponsorship is important to you, make that a color code on your calendar and make intentional time for it. I don't
Mhm.
make myself always available. I'll say I'm available on X number of days or times. And that's what I've worked within my calendar to make that work. There will be times where someone may shoot a note over and say, I've got something I really need to work through.
Mhm.
If I can do it, I'm going to do it. If I can't, I'll lead them to one of those times I blocked. So just like you schedule time for customers and internal, schedule time for true mentorship, coaching, and advocacy, and then treat it as important and not so easy to schedule over as
Yeah.
you would a customer meeting. And you'd be surprised how much time you have to do it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I would also say carve time for yourself,
Oh, for sure.
where it is so self-care is actually important. I always think of the airline analogy of put on your mask first before even like taking care of your child, who may be traveling with you. So if there's no self-care, helping others becomes harder. Um,
I would agree with that. And probably throughout times of my career, what I failed at the most is putting time for me, being a working mother and wife and managing things at home and family situations. And you've got all these other people tugging at your time. And you realize when you finally put your head down at the end of the day, you really hadn't done anything for yourself. And I don't believe in balance, the whole work life balance on a day to day. You
yeah,
know, there are going to be days where work is pegged all the way over here. Like something's got to get done. You need to take care of it. But then you need to, push the pendulum over to the other side and say, got to take a little time for me, for my family, for, I have memories of having to work and travel a whole lot when my daughter was younger. So I'd pull her out of school for a few days and go to the beach and spend hours looking for shells and doing
aw,
completely, non-brain type things and just making sure she knew she was a priority. And, any working mother can think about feeling guilty about not making this or that. And as I got older, I realized, and she got older, we talked about the what are the can't misses. If
yeah,
there are things that she just does not want me to miss, I
mm,
will move heaven and earth to not mess with the can't misses.
yeah,
And then other things are might misses. You may miss this one because of work, but
yeah.
I've done okay. I had to do the red eye and my husband picked me up to make it to a swim meet and then go back and fly back. I've done some crazy things to
Yeah.
not miss the can't misses, but
Yeah.
I do believe in balance over time, and balance to me includes self-care. It's all
Yes.
the aspects of how you balance your day.
Well, can you think of the craziest, sorry, this is
Yeah,
just like as you were saying it, I was
yeah.
thinking of something. What's the craziest thing you've had to do for a can't miss?
I was at HIMSS, which is a healthcare
Mm.
IT show in Vegas, and my daughter made the state the state meet for swimming as a freshman,
Wow.
and she really wanted me there, and it was during hymns. So this is where I took a red eye back. My husband picked me up at the airport. We drove 2 hours. I slept in the car, got to the meet. I watched her swim, slept during intermission. She made the finals in a couple things, so got to see her in the finals. Gave her a hug at the end of the meet. My husband drove me back to the airport
Oh, wow.
and I flew back because I was presenting the following day. So I
Okay.
was exhausted, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't have missed it for the world.
Yeah, no, of course. And you don't want your child remembering, "Mom, you weren't there for
No,
like what was a big evening or a big day in her life at the
yeah.
time." So
That
no,
was my worst one. When I say worst, just took a lot out of me, but I was really happy I could be there.
yeah, my worst was my son was performing in elementary school. He was doing a dance, which was and it was like dark, and he had like glow up lights on him, and he was doing this crazy
Oh
dance,
my
like
gosh. Yeah.
whatever the song was. No, the song's not coming to me, but anyway, I'd created his outfit, I had done everything, but of course I had to go to this offsite coinciding with when he was going to perform. So um I think we were at the airport coming back. So I missed it by like literally a couple of hours. So
Oh,
I sat in the ladies' room, and my husband FaceTimed me and muted both sides so there would be no crazy noises coming. And I watched him.
yep.
And, is that the craziest? That's probably the craziest, because I've tried to otherwise schedule around things, but sometimes you can't avoid it.
Plenty
And
of
you
plenty
do,
of FaceTimes, plenty of,
yeah,
watching remotely, but she knew I was watching.
yeah,
And to your point, whenever I could, I was there.
yeah. You got
So,
to do what you got to do. And
yeah.
I think most importantly, perhaps the message to whoever watches this is there's no one right answer.
There really isn't, and there's no I got rid of mom guilt pretty early. I just and again, my mom really helped me recognize because when I grew up and I was an adult and a mom, I just remembered she was always there when I needed her to be. So that was kind of the rule for me being a working mother,
Mhm.
that I'll be there when you need me to be, but I'm not going to be able to be there for everything. And she's fine. She's proud of me and the work that I've done. I've had real long conversations with her about sacrifice, and we've been on trips, and I've said these trips are thanks to the work that mom does, and that we can afford this, or that I have miles and points to for us to be able to do this. So you just have to talk to your kids and let them know that, I enjoy my work. I like what I do. And I also love being a mom, and you can do both, but don't put the pressure on yourself or you're going to really struggle on both,
Yeah,
on both sides. So
yeah,
I also, you mentioned self care. I'll just throw this out there. Find a friend who likes spas,
yes.
because I have a couple dear friends and we do our annual trips or every other year and take a couple days and go to a wellness type spa where you're doing self-care but also exercise and meditation and all the things that allow you to kind of center yourself and allow you to go tackle again. So find a friend who likes to go to a spa with you. That's my
Yeah.
other little tidbit.
Love it. I love spas. I love my massages. I love my yoga. But you know
Yeah,
what? I just recently, I think this is a win. I convinced my husband, who also needs to do self-care.
of course.
And I said, do something for you.
Oh yeah, of
He's a giver, so he does so much for all of us. And we balance it between the two of us,
course.
always having careers, but he doesn't do something for himself. So he just booked his tickets to go watch. I'm Indian, so we're like crazy cricket fans.
Oh, great.
And cricket's almost religion for Indians.
Love that.
He's going and watching a test match in the UK for
Nice.
5 days. And I'm like, yes, I'm so glad you did
Yeah.
this.
My husband doesn't have any trouble with that at all. That's always been and I don't even mean that in a bad way. Like, he has his guy trips and the things that he does. He's a
Yeah,
NASCAR fan. He's a baseball fan. He also has an incredible relationship with my daughter. So they have father-daughter
trips.
events that they
Yeah.
go and do that I'm not part of. And big Orioles fans, and they go watch the Orioles play a series every year since she was a baby. Um,
Oh,
and now she takes the train from New York, and he comes up, and they'll spend 3 days, just the two of them, and do their thing. And I agree. I think everyone has to have their own dynamic of what balance looks like for them.
Yes,
And, you also have to do something for you and your husband so you don't get lost in that too. So I just think
absolutely.
um, we tried to bike ride for a while, but to him, it's a competition and a sport. And to me, we live at the beach and I just want to do my little beach cruiser and enjoy so that didn't work out because he just kept taking off. So the bike riding didn't work out, but we have a lot that we just enjoy each other's company. And I think that helps,
It's
if
important.
all the aspects of, I know we were talking about women in leadership and now we're talking about our husbands, but it all matters.
Of
And
course.
you want to have somebody who supports you, recognizes that you have needs and passions and things that you want to accomplish. And if I didn't have a supportive husband, I can't imagine doing this.
Yeah, yeah. I think I love that you brought this up.
Yeah.
I think this is a huge shout out to the amazing men also in our lives and allies in the
Yeah.
workplace who support what we're doing. It's
Yes.
just like, the saying goes, behind every successful man is a woman. The other way is also
That's
true.
exactly right. That's exactly right. And as I mentioned earlier, I've had some wonderful male leaders in my time, and I've learned so much. And whether they were necessarily an ally, I wouldn't say all the time, but they were advocates and they
Right.
were supportive of me working and doing things that I wanted to do. So and you learn from you said it earlier, you do learn from everyone things you may not bring into your style and strategy and things that you will. But I've been really fortunate to have some great allies, some great men and women,
Yeah.
and people that you aren't necessarily going to emulate in my career. But
Right.
I feel I look back over my career. I've been very fortunate. I really
Yeah.
have.
That's
For the
that's
good and the bad. I've been
correct.
very fortunate.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yes,
exactly.
yes, yes. And I think when you have a career as long as we have had, it
Yeah,
would be kind of out of the ordinary for it to be one way and not the other.
that's right.
You got to have a little bit of everything for it to be interesting.
It's what holds us, no
Yeah,
question.
absolutely. All right. Can you please share your favorite life lesson quote and how that is relevant to you in your life?
My favorite quote, and anyone who knows me that sees this is probably already saying it out loud because I share it pretty regularly, and it's by Henry Ford. It is whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right.
Hmm.
Because I have talked myself out of trying things, doing things before I even knew whether I could do them or not. And I've seen other people talk themselves out of things.
Yeah.
And your attitude of I can go so far beyond what you believe your aptitude of doing something could be.
Hmm.
So huge fan of that statement. And I've seen bits and pieces of it in different statements, but just the old school Henry Ford, whether you believe you can or can't, you're right, is really my foundation.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I For me, it's been interesting to hear different people's
I
life
bet.
quotes. And I'm like, when I go back and listen to the recording, sometimes I'll actually write it down, something that actually resonated with me. So that's been fun for
Yeah,
me.
I bet. And I love hearing what drives other people.
Yeah.
This is one that I recognize speaks to me just because I think your willingness to try hard things and potentially pave a path that's not laid out before you.
Yeah.
Um, you could be your own worst enemy in moving forward by just not believing it's possible or that you can't do it. And I am proud of points in my life where, favorite poem is The Road Less Traveled by Robert Frost. It's
Yeah.
obviously a well-known one, but
Yeah.
I've many times taken the road less traveled, and it
Yeah.
has made all the difference for me. So I just, I'm with you. I love to hear what drives other people, but if I'm being true to myself, it's parked right in my attitude for sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Now we're going to talk about books. Any favorite books, any book recommendations for our audience that have helped you stay true to who you are?
There's 2 that really come to mind, and one came from one of my mentors in life when I first became a leader. It's called Leadership and Self-Deception. I can't
Mhm.
remember the author, but I can find it and send it to you. And it really allowed me to go into leadership with maybe some eyes wide open that I wouldn't have had otherwise. It talks
That's
about your
awesome.
blind spots. It talks
Mm,
about being open to recognizing what's on the fringe of what you think is happening. And it has me wanting to do 360 reviews that are anonymous so that I can learn what don't I realize I'm doing, or what, I had somebody once in a 360 review tell me not everyone can match my passion, but it doesn't mean they don't care. And I didn't realize I was putting off that vibe of, if you
yeah.
don't match my passion for this, you're not doing a good job. And that was a real eye opener for me, and recognizing different styles and different ways to approach different things. So it's a great book. I tend to give it to new leaders as my gift,
Mhm.
paying it forward. I should get a discount at Amazon at this point because I've sent it so many times, but it has stuck with me, and it was one of the first books I got when I started in leadership from a dear friend and mentor. The other one, I think it's called The Magic Bus.
Okay.
It is, and I was trying to find it, and it has to do with people that get on and off your bus. It's not the good to great
Yep.
strategy of who do you
Yep.
want on your bus. It's more about um, ways you feel that I almost need to read it again, because you read it, it was really impactful, but then you forget it,
Yeah.
and you want to make sure. So I kind of need to read it again. I want to make sure I'm even calling it the right thing, because it really was a powerful book for me.
Yeah.
Um, it's not The Magic Bus. I need to figure. I will. It's something about a bus.
Okay.
Um, if I put the bus in business and I try to figure out what it is, like a book, um, Energy Bus,
Energy Bus.
The
Oh, I
Energy
might want to
Bus,
read that
and it's
one.
by
Yeah.
John Gordon.
Okay.
And it talks about, like I said, different things that bring energy to you, or how you feel about different things. It's very unique, very easy read.
Oh, I need to read
I
this.
really
Okay.
do need to read it again. But somebody recommended it to me, and this is something that I've given a lot of my teams as gifts, just because of the power it had. And it's not just business, it's actually, there's a lot in there about personal life too
Yeah.
that you can translate. And I'm a big fan of But First Make Your Bed. I love that book,
Mm-hmm.
and huge Simon Sinek fan, and Starting with Why.
Yep.
But the 2 that come up are the Leadership and Self-Deception, when you're going to be a first-time leader, or you've been one for a while and maybe struggle a little to connect with your team.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Energy Bus. What I call it, the Magic Bus. It's
Yeah.
magic.
It's magic. Yeah, that works for me. I was like, Magic Bus. That sounds
The
awesome.
Energy Bus. Whoops, the Energy Bus.
I love it. On that note, Heidi, it's been absolutely amazing. I know we haven't known each other very long. We were introduced by two mutual friends. But the
Wonderful
first,
women.
yes, and
Yes.
wonderful women who are also featured on this
I
podcast
love that.
series. And the first time Heidi and I spoke, we scheduled a 30-minute, very conservative 30-minute slot. And suffice it to say, we went over 2 hours because we just connected. So I am so happy to have met you and
Mm,
to be in your orbit. And
I
thank you
love that.
so much for sharing your life lessons, your leadership journey with our audience. I'm sure they can benefit from your insights. Thank you again so much for your time. It's
It
been
was
a
my
pleasure having
pleasure.
you on.
It blew by. I loved it. Thank you so
I
much
know
for
it went
having me.
by quickly. Yes. Thank
Thanks
you
for
again,
having me.
Heidi.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.